Hello Internet, so nice to see you. Let's answer a few more of your music theory questions.
I was trying to learn the fretboard, but I didn't have a structured way to do so. This seems like a pretty good way. I guess for a 7-string guitar, it's just a letter to extend the exercise.
On a 7-string guitar, or on an 8-string guitar, or on a 9-string guitar, or on a 10-string guitar, or on a lute, okay? Everything is exactly the same. You just go from one side of the fretboard to the other side of the fretboard, playing the notes wherever they are. These exercises can be used on literally any stringed instrument. You could use this to learn the notes on a violin, on a cello, on a mandolin, on a banjo. It doesn't matter, as long as it has strings. And as long as you limit yourself to halfway the length of the string, which on a guitar is fret 1 to 12, you're going to find all the notes in there, and you just go in order. It will work for every stringed instrument. Just do it for all the strings, all the time.
I'm very excited to learn this method and will do it exactly as presented, but I do have one question. Finding the accidentals by thinking first of the natural and then moving one fret seems like an extra step. Is there a reason you don't just treat the accidentals in the same manner as the natural notes? Thank you so much for what I know is going to bring me to the new level.
Well, because I've tried both ways and I found that people learn faster if they first learn the natural notes and then add the accidental later, because you can concentrate on 7 notes and then add the 5 alteration, the 5 accidentals, and which is much easier than just learning 12 notes all together. In fact, actually, there are more, because if you think about it, you have 7 natural notes, but then you have 5 notes that can be sharped and 5 notes that can be flat, so you have technically 10 accidentals in there. So you will have a total of 17 notes to learn if you think about it this way. It's much easier to learn 7 notes and then modify them than learning 17 notes in a single hit. Or at least that's what my intuition told me at the time when I was doing it. Then of course I tested both ways and my intuition was correct. It's much faster to learn first the natural notes and then the accidentals.
Can a complete beginner do this?
A complete beginner can definitely do this. Again, remember, only 5 minutes a day so you don't get frustrated and so you don't get the feeling that you're spending a lot of your time doing something that is not immediately applicable. 5 minutes a day. And by the way, that would be a great warm-up for everybody, so you save time on your warm-up and you invest it in learning your notes. But yes, a complete beginner can and probably should do that.
For practicing the 12th fret and above, I put a capo on the 10th fret. Does that seem reasonable?
Yes, definitely. As long as you have a window of 12 frets on your guitar, whether you start at fret 1 or you start at fret 3 or fret 5 or any other position, as long as you have a window of 12 fret, the exercise will work. Now, I found personally, but that's only literally for me, not even for my students, just for me, that when I learned everything from fret 1 to 12, the other frets above the 12 came practically for free, because I'm just imagining the same thing duplicated at the 12th fret. I found that this doesn't happen for many other people. I think probably only for 4 other people among all the people I've taught. So for everybody else, yes, move the window a little bit or try to do all the frets above the 12 or things like that. Again, as long as you have a window of 12 frets will work. You can change this window however you feel comfortable to cover the area that you think you know less. And that would be a good move, okay? Just move the window on the area you know less so that you can study those areas.
When do I know when to move to the next exercise?
For the first exercise, you move to the next exercise when you can play every natural note up and down 3 times without mistakes, and you have done all of these, you've gone through all the natural notes 3 times, as I say in the video. For all the other exercise, you move on the next one when you feel ready, which is, it's kind of a guess at this point. It's really hard to tell. The idea is try to do the next exercise. If it feels absolutely impossible, go back to the previous one and do it for a few practices more, and then try again to move on to the next one.
Super video. Many thanks. One question from a beginner. Can/should I look at the fretboard or avoid looking when doing the exercises?
When you're doing this exercise, I want you guys to look at the fretboard. Not looking at the fretboard, it's absolutely possible, but you should do this after you finish the full cycle of exercises. So once you can do all the exercises in the sequence, then you may want to restart the whole thing with your eyes closed. And we're going to go through it very fast, actually. It's not impossible. But first, the first time you do it, eyes open and on the fretboard. You don't want to add an extra difficulty on the exercises right now. You just want to learn where the notes are.
What about your experience developing this system led you to explicitly omit open strings in step 1?
Open strings are omitted in all the steps, not just in step 1. But why? Because I found that every time you move on the next string, you need to do a physical action. And this physical action needs to be, it's the fretting of the string. Why? Because with this physical action, you learn better. And again, I tested this. So if I allow open string, you can play a string without fretting it, and this doesn't register in your brain as a physical action. And so it's like your brain skips a bit and doesn't really learn that passage there. It doesn't really learn that string. I've noticed this because at the beginning, when I was doing this exercise, I was allowing the open strings, and then I found that not one of my students knew the note of the 12th fret. So I eliminated the open string, introduced the note of the 12th fret, and this seems to make the whole process much faster. And then I realized it's this thing of doing a physical action every time that improves your learning.
In exercise 3, are you supposed to play the sharps and flats additionally or exclusively?
First, exclusively, so first only sharps and flat, and then inclusively, meaning both natural notes and sharps and flats. So you want to do both things, but start with the small thing first and then get the big thing later.
Hey Tommaso, I'm in step 1 of this exercise, and while doing it, I started singing the notes along with playing them. Is this a distraction or helpful?
That is actually helpful because it's helping you training your ear together with your fretboard knowledge. So if you want to sing the notes, that's great. I wasn't recommending it specifically because for some people it's too much of a distraction actually, or some people are really self-conscious about their voice, so they don't really want to do that. But if you're already doing it and you feel like it, go straight ahead. It's great.
It could have been great to show hands on the exercises instead of graphics.
No problem. I have another video I published years ago that showed me doing it on the guitar, so you can find the link at the top right here. Of course, you're gonna see that the studio is not as professional as the one I have right now. Okay, but it's still a good video and you can see my hands doing the exercise. It's an older version of the whole thing, so there are some difference with the more modern video, with the more recent video. If there are differences, follow what I say in the more recent video. But again, at least you can see me playing there all these exercise repeatedly and visible from the camera.